Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, watching the screens that showed 3 alien ships moving toward Earth's solar system. The ships were sleek and silver, nothing like the bulky human vessels he was used to seeing. They moved with perfect formation, their hulls reflecting the light from distant stars. "Captain, we're getting a signal from the lead ship," said Lieutenant Amy Carter from her position at the communications console. Her fingers worked quickly over the controls as strange sounds filled the bridge. The alien language was musical, with high and low tones that seemed to dance together. Jake nodded and straightened his uniform. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. After decades of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, the answer had finally come to them. "Put it through the translator, Amy. Let's see what they want." The translator worked for several seconds, processing the alien words. Then a clear voice spoke in English. "Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet. We are the Zelrani Confederation. We come in peace and wish to establish contact with your species." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They were all young officers, most of them fresh out of the academy. None of them had ever imagined they would be the first humans to talk to aliens. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defender," he said clearly. "We welcome you to our solar system." The alien response came quickly. "We are honored by your greeting, Captain Morrison. I am Ambassador Thyrix of the Zelrani Diplomatic Fleet. We have traveled far to meet your people. We bring gifts and proposals for trade between our civilizations." Jake smiled, but something in the alien's tone made him careful. The voice was polite, but there was something else underneath. It reminded him of the way adults sometimes talk to children. Kind, but not quite respectful. "We appreciate your peaceful intentions, Ambassador. What brings you to our system?" "We have been watching your species expand into nearby star systems," Thyrix replied. "Your people show promise, though you are still young in the ways of space travel. We wish to offer guidance and friendship to help you grow." Lieutenant Amy Carter looked up from her console with a frown. She had been monitoring the alien ship's scans of their vessel. The readings showed that the aliens were examining every part of the Defender, from its weapons to its engine systems. They were being very thorough, almost like they were studying a museum piece. "Ambassador," Jake said carefully, "we would be happy to discuss trade and friendship. However, we should follow proper protocols. Would you be willing to meet with our government representatives?" There was a pause before Thyrix answered. "Of course, Captain. We understand that young civilizations need time to organize such meetings. We will wait at the edge of your system while you arrange this." Jake noticed that the alien had called them a young civilization again. It was starting to bother him. "Thank you for your patience. We'll contact our superiors immediately." As the communication ended, Jake turned to his crew. "Amy, get me Admiral Brooks on Luna Station, Priority Channel." While Amy worked on the connection, Jake studied the alien ships on his screens. They were beautiful in their own way, but there was something about them that made him uneasy. They moved too smoothly, too confidently, like they owned the space around them. "Captain," said Lieutenant Tom Wilson from the weapons station, "I've been analyzing their ships. They're not showing any weapons, but their energy signatures are huge, much bigger than ours." Jake nodded. He had noticed the same thing. The alien ships were clearly more advanced than anything humans had built. Their engines were more efficient. Their hulls were made of materials he didn't recognize, and their technology was far beyond human capabilities. "Sir, I have Admiral Brooks," Amy announced. The screen flickered, and Admiral Lisa Brooks appeared. She was a stern woman in her 50s, with gray hair and sharp eyes. "Captain Morrison, I've been monitoring your communication. Good work on the first contact." "Thank you, Admiral. The aliens want to meet with our government. They say they come in peace, but something feels off about them. Admiral Brooks nodded. I've been thinking the same thing. Their approach is too smooth, too. Practiced, like they've done this before with other species. What are your orders, Admiral? Escort them to Luna Station, but keep your distance. Don't let them get too close to Earth until we know more about their intentions. And Captain, be polite, but don't give them any information about our military capabilities. Jake understood. The Admiral was being cautious, and that was probably wise. Understood, Admiral. We'll guide them to the meeting point. As the connection ended, Jake turned back to his crew. Amy, contact the aliens again. Tell them we're ready to escort them. To the meeting. The response came quickly. Excellent, Captain Morrison. We look forward to meeting your leaders. As the Defender began to move toward Luna Station, with the alien ships following, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this first contact was going to be more complicated than anyone expected. The aliens were polite, but there was something in their manner that suggested they thought they were dealing with children. He hoped that Admiral Brooks and the other Earth leaders would be ready for whatever the Zelrani really wanted. The meeting room on Luna Station was carefully prepared for the historic encounter. Admiral Lisa Brooks sat at the head of a long table, with Ambassador Helen Martinez on her right and Dr. Kevin Taylor on her left. The xenobiologist had been studying the alien transmissions for days. Trying to understand their culture and intentions dot across from them, sat Ambassador Thyrix, a tall being with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. His companion, military advisor Kelvok, was shorter but broader, with the same blue skin but more rigid posture. Both aliens wore flowing robes that seemed to shift color in the light. Admiral Brooks, Thyrix began, his voice smooth and musical. We are pleased to finally meet face to face. Your species has much potential, though you have much to learn about the galaxy. Lisa kept her expression neutral, but Dr. Taylor noticed her jaw tighten slightly. We appreciate your interest in humanity, Ambassador. We're eager to learn about your Confederation and what you can offer us. Thyrix smiled, showing teeth that were slightly too sharp. The Zelrani Confederation has guided many species into the galactic community. We have been watching your expansion into nearby systems, and we believe the time has come for humanity to join our organization. Ambassador Martinez leaned forward. That sounds wonderful. What would membership involve? Kelvok spoke for the first time, his voice deeper and more harsh than Thyrix's. The Confederation provides technology, protection, and trade opportunities. In return, member species agree to certain limitations on their expansion and military development. Dr. Taylor frowned. What kind of limitations? Nothing too restrictive, Thyrix said quickly. Simply agreements to prevent conflicts and ensure peaceful development. For example, new members typically agree to limit their territorial expansion to their home system and perhaps one or two nearby systems. Lisa felt her blood pressure rising. You're asking us to stop expanding into space? Not stop, Thyrix corrected. Simply slow down and follow proper procedures. The galaxy is a dangerous place, Admiral. Young species often make mistakes that can lead to war or destruction. We help prevent such problems. Dr. Taylor had been studying the alien's body language throughout the conversation. Both Thyrix and Kelvok carried themselves with the confidence of people who were used to being obeyed. Their tone was polite, but there was an underlying assumption that humans would naturally accept their offer. What about our military? Lisa asked. You mentioned limitations on military development. Kelvok's expression hardened. The Confederation maintains peace through strength. Member species are not required to have large military forces. We provide protection in exchange for cooperation. Ambassador Martinez tried to keep the conversation diplomatic. These are significant decisions. That would affect all of humanity. We would need time to discuss this with our governments. Dyrix's smile became less warm. Of course. However, we hope you understand that the Confederation's offer is not unlimited. The galaxy is changing, and species that refuse to adapt often find themselves isolated and vulnerable. Dr. Taylor caught the subtle threat in the alien's words. Are you saying there would be consequences if we don't join? Not consequences, Thyrix replied smoothly. Simply the natural result of remaining outside the galactic community. Trade opportunities would be limited, technological advancement would be slower, and protection from hostile species would not be available. Lisa stood up, her patience finally wearing thin. Ambassador, let me be clear. Humanity has managed to survive and thrive for thousands of years without your guidance. We appreciate your offer, but we're not interested in giving up our independence. Kelvok also stood, his posture becoming more threatening. Admiral, with respect, your species has been in space for less than a century. You have no idea what dangers exist in the galaxy. There are hostile species that would destroy Earth without hesitation. Then why don't you tell us about these dangers, instead of asking us to give up our freedom? Lisa shot back. The room fell silent. The two aliens exchanged glances, and Dr. Taylor could see them communicating in some way that didn't involve words. Finally, Thyrix spoke again. Admiral, perhaps you misunderstand our position. The Confederation is not asking you to give up your freedom. We are offering to help you grow safely and responsibly. By limiting our expansion and military development, Ambassador Martinez said quietly. By preventing you from making the mistakes that have destroyed other species, Kelvok replied, firmly. Dr. Taylor had heard enough. What happened to the species that refused your offer? Another long pause. Thyrix's expression became more serious. Some chose isolation and fell behind technologically. Others expanded too quickly and encountered hostile forces they couldn't handle. A few tried to challenge the Confederation directly. And what happened to those who challenged you? Lisa asked. Kelvok's eyes narrowed. They learned that the Confederation's military is not to be underestimated. The threat was no longer subtle. Lisa felt her anger rising, but she forced herself to remain calm. I think we need to take a break. This conversation is moving in directions that concern me. Thyrix nodded, but his smile was gone. Of course, Admiral. Perhaps some time to consider our offer will help you understand its value. As the aliens left the room, Dr. Taylor turned to Admiral Brooks. Lisa, they're not here to offer us membership. They're here to demand our surrender. Lisa nodded grimly. I was thinking the same thing. They expect us to roll over and accept their terms because they think we're too weak to resist. Ambassador Martinez looked worried. What do we do? Their ships are clearly more advanced than ours. We buy time, Lisa said, and we hope that our friends in the outer system have been paying attention to these negotiations. Dr. Taylor raised an eyebrow. What friends in the outer system? Lisa smiled for the first time that day. The kind that don't appear on any public records, Kevin. The kind that make sure humanity always has options. As the three humans began planning their next move, none of them noticed that the aliens had left monitoring devices in the room. Thyrix and Kelvok were already analyzing the conversation, and they didn't like what they were hearing. The humans are more stubborn than expected, Kelvok observed. Then we will have to be more persuasive, Thyrix replied coldly. 3 days had passed since the first meeting, and the negotiations had gone nowhere. Admiral Lisa Brooks sat in her office on Luna Station, reviewing the latest reports from the diplomatic sessions. Ambassador Thyrix had become increasingly impatient, and military advisor Kelvok had started making barely veiled threats. A chime sounded, and her door opened. Ambassador Helen Martinez entered, looking tired and frustrated. Lisa, they're demanding another meeting. Thyrix says they won't wait any longer for our answer. Lisa looked up from her reports, Let me guess. They want us to accept their terms. Immediately, or they'll consider our silence to be a hostile act. Close enough, Helen replied, dropping into a chair. They've also started scanning our defense satellites more aggressively. Our people are getting nervous. They should be, Lisa said grimly. Dr. Taylor's analysis suggests that the Zelrani have done this before. They find a species that's just starting to expand into space, offer them membership in their confederation, and then slowly take control of everything. Helen nodded. The classic protection racket. Join us or face the consequences. Exactly. And if we refuse, they'll make an example of us to discourage other species from resisting. Before Helen could respond, the communication system activated. Admiral Brooks, this is Captain Morrison on the Defender. We're detecting movement in the alien fleet. They're repositioning their ships. Lisa stood up quickly. On screen, Captain. The wall display showed the 3 Zelrani ships moving into a new formation. They had been maintaining a respectful distance at the edge of the solar system, but now they were spreading out in what looked like an attack pattern. Captain, are their weapons active? Lisa asked. Negative, Admiral. But their energy signatures are increasing. They're definitely preparing for something. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Continue monitoring, Captain. Report any changes immediately. As the communication ended, Helen looked worried. Lisa, they're going to make their move soon. We need to decide what we're going to do. We stick to the plan, Lisa replied. We keep stalling and hope that help arrives before they lose patience. Completely. An hour later, Ambassador Thyrex requested an emergency meeting. When Lisa and Helen arrived in the conference room, they found both aliens waiting with serious expressions. Admiral Brooks, Thyrex began without preamble, the Confederation has been patient, but our patience has limits. We require an answer to our offer. Lisa sat down calmly. Ambassador, as I've explained, decisions of this magnitude require time. We're still discussing the matter with our governments. Kelvok leaned forward, his voice harsh. There is nothing to discuss. The Confederation's offer is generous and fair. Your hesitation suggests that you do not appreciate the benefits of membership, or the consequences of refusing, Thyrex added quietly. Helen tried to maintain diplomatic calm. Ambassador, we appreciate your position, but humanity cannot make such important decisions hastily. Surely you understand that. What I understand, Thyrex replied, standing up, is that your species is too proud for its own good. You see our offer as a threat to your independence, rather than protection for your survival. Because that's exactly what it is, Lisa said, no longer bothering to hide her anger. You want us to give up our right to expand and defend ourselves. In return, you offer us protection from threats that you conveniently haven't described. Kelvok's eyes narrowed. Very well. Since you require a demonstration of the threats you face, we will provide one. Lisa felt her blood turn cold. What do you mean? We mean that the Confederation will show you what happens to species that refuse our guidance, Thyrex said. Perhaps then you will understand the value of our protection. The aliens left the room without another word. Lisa immediately activated the emergency communication system. Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Brooks. What's the status of the alien fleet? Admiral, they're moving into our system. All 3 ships are heading toward Jupiter. Their weapons are now active. Lisa's mind raced. There were several human patrol ships near Jupiter, conducting routine surveillance of the outer system. If the aliens were planning a demonstration, those ships would be the targets. Captain, warn all ships in the Jupiter area to withdraw immediately. Tell them to get as far away as possible. Already done, Admiral. But the aliens are moving fast. I don't think our ships can outrun them. Lisa closed her eyes, knowing what was coming. Keep monitoring, Captain. Record everything. 20 minutes later, the demonstration began. The alien ships appeared near Jupiter, their sleek hulls gleaming in the light of the distant sun. 3 human patrol ships had been caught in the area. Despite the warnings to withdraw, Captain Morrison watched helplessly as the alien ships approached the human vessels. There was no dramatic battle, no exchange of fire. The alien ships simply fired beams of energy that passed through the human ship's shields as if they weren't there. "Captain," Lieutenant Amy Carter reported, her voice tight with tension. "The patrol ships are losing power. Their engines are shutting down. Life support is failing. The aliens are disabling them completely." On the main screen, the 3 human ships drifted helplessly in space, their lights flickering and dying. The aliens had demonstrated their technological superiority without destroying the ships or killing their crews. But the message was clear. "Captain Morrison," came a transmission from one of the disabled ships. "This is Lieutenant Paul Grant. On the Ranger, we're completely dead in space. Whatever they hit us with, it shut down everything electronic." Morrison gritted his teeth. "Understood, Lieutenant. Help is on the way." As the alien ships began to withdraw, leaving the disabled human vessels behind, Thyrix's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral Brooks, we trust that our demonstration was educational. You have 48 hours to accept the Confederation's offer. If you do not, we will consider humanity to be a hostile species." The transmission ended, leaving the humans to contemplate their situation. Lisa Brooks stared at the screen, showing the disabled ships, her mind working furiously. The aliens had made their point clearly. Human technology was no match for theirs. But as she watched the alien ships returning to their positions at the edge of the system, she noticed something interesting. Dr. Taylor had been monitoring their long-range sensors, and the readings showed that the aliens were scanning deep space constantly, as if they were looking for something. "Dr. Taylor," she said quietly, "what are they scanning for?" Kevin looked up from his console, his expression thoughtful. "I'm not sure, Admiral, but they seem nervous about something out there, something they can't quite locate." Lisa felt a small spark of hope. Maybe humanity had more options than the aliens realized. A 48-hour deadline was almost up. Admiral Lisa Brooks stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching the displays that showed the alien fleet positioned at the edge of the solar system. The 3 Zelrani ships maintained their formation, their weapon systems active and ready. "Admiral," Dr. Kevin Taylor called from his console, "I'm still picking up those deep space scans from the alien ships. They're focusing on the outer system, beyond Neptune." Lisa nodded, but her attention was focused on the countdown timer on the main screen. In 6 hours, the aliens would expect humanity's answer. She had already decided what that answer would be, but she hoped it wouldn't matter. Captain Jake Morrison's voice came over the communication system from the Defender. "Admiral, we're ready to begin evacuation of the outer system colonies if necessary." "Negative, Captain. Hold your position. We're not running." Ambassador Helen Martinez looked up from her desk, where she had been preparing humanity's official response to the alien ultimatum. "Lisa, are you sure about this? If they carry out their threat, millions of people could die. If we surrender now, billions will die later," Lisa replied. "The Zelrani aren't offering us membership in their confederation. They're offering us slavery." Dr. Taylor suddenly straightened at his console. "Admiral, I'm detecting something. There's a massive energy signature approaching from the outer system." Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. How massive? Bigger than anything I've ever seen. It's moving slowly, but it's definitely artificial, and it's heading this way. On the alien ships, Ambassador Thyrix and military advisor Kelvok were having their own discussion. The long-range sensors had detected the approaching object hours ago, and they were becoming increasingly concerned. "What do you think it is?" Thyrex asked, studying the readings. I'm not sure, Kelvok replied. The energy signature is enormous, but it's moving too slowly to be a weapon. Maybe a space station or a large transport. The humans haven't mentioned any installations in the outer system. The humans have been hiding things from us since we arrived, Kelvok said grimly. This could be another one of their secrets. As the hours passed, the mysterious object continued to approach. The alien scans revealed that it was incredibly large, but its exact nature remained unclear. The energy readings were off the charts, but the object seemed to be coasting rather than accelerating. Admiral, Dr. Taylor announced, I'm getting better readings on the contact. It's not a space station or a transport. It's a ship. Lisa turned to face him. How big? 15 kilometers long, Admiral. Maybe more. The command center fell silent. Even the largest human ships were less than 2 kilometers in length. A 15-kilometer vessel was beyond anything they had ever imagined. Can you identify it? Lisa asked. Dr. Taylor worked at his console for several minutes before looking up with a strange expression. Admiral, it's broadcasting human identification codes. It's one of ours. Lisa felt her legs go weak. Are you certain? Yes, Admiral. It's the U.E.'s Titan, Colossus-class dreadnought. According to the records, it's been conducting deep space operations for the past 8 months. On the main screen, the approaching ship became visible as a small dot against the stars. But as it drew closer, its true size became apparent. The Titan was massive beyond comprehension, its hull dark and angular, bristling with weapon systems that dwarfed entire human cities. Captain Morrison's voice came over the communications. System tight with amazement. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Titan. Put it through, Lisa ordered. The screen flickered, and a middle-aged man in a military uniform appeared. His face was weathered, with graying hair and calm eyes. Admiral Brooks, this is Captain Roy Phillips of the U.E.S. Titan. We received your emergency signal and came as quickly as we could. Lisa struggled to find her voice. Captain Phillips, we weren't aware that ships like yours existed. Roy smiled grimly. There are many things about humanity's capabilities that aren't public knowledge, Admiral. We prefer to keep our most powerful assets hidden until they're needed. The Titan continued its approach, and as it drew closer, its true size became overwhelming. The ship was not just large. It was a mobile fortress, equipped with weapons that could destroy entire fleets and shields that could withstand planet-killing weapons. On the alien ships, panic was beginning to set in. The energy readings from the human dreadnought were beyond anything in their experience. The ship's main guns were the size of skyscrapers, and its missile bays could launch thousands of projectiles simultaneously. Thyrex, Kelvok said, his voice strained. That ship could destroy our entire fleet with a single salvo. How is that possible? Thyrex demanded. The humans are supposed to be a young species. They've barely been in space for a century. Apparently, we underestimated them. As the Titan took position near Luna Station, its massive bulk casting shadows across the moon's surface, Captain Phillips opened a channel to the alien fleet. Ambassador Thyrex, this is Captain Roy Phillips of the United Earthship Titan. I understand you've been negotiating with Admiral Brooks. Thyrex's response was shaky. Captain Phillips, we were not aware that humanity possessed ships of such magnitude. There are many things about humanity that you're not aware of, Ambassador. We prefer to keep our capabilities private until circumstances require otherwise. The alien ships began to move, their formation becoming more defensive. But against the Titan's overwhelming firepower, defense was meaningless. The human dreadnought could annihilate all 3 alien vessels without even straining its systems. Captain, Thyrex said carefully, the Confederation's offer of membership remains open. We would be honored to welcome humanity as equals, Roy's smile was cold. Equals, Ambassador? An hour ago, you were demanding our surrender. What changed? Kelvok tried to salvage the situation. There has been a misunderstanding. The Confederation always intended to treat humanity as equals. Our previous discussions were simply preliminary negotiations. Is that so? Roy replied. Then perhaps you can explain why you disabled our patrol ships near Jupiter. That was merely a demonstration of our technology, Thyrex said quickly. We meant no harm. I see. And the ultimatum you gave Admiral Brooks? The alien ships were now actively trying to maintain distance from the Titan, but the massive human vessel could easily catch them if it chose to pursue. There was no ultimatum. Thyrex lead. We simply requested a timely response to our offer. Roy looked at Admiral Brooks on his screen. Admiral, what's your assessment of the situation? Lisa smiled for the first time in days. I think, Captain, that our guests have suddenly become much more reasonable. As the Titan's weapon systems powered up, filling space with energy signatures, that made the alien ships seem like toys. The balance of power in the solar system shifted completely. The Zelrani, who had arrived expecting to dictate terms to a weak species, now found themselves facing a military force that could destroy. Their entire civilization, not the age of human weakness, was over. The conference room on Luna Station had been transformed. Where before the humans had sat as supplicants listening to alien demands, now Ambassador Thyrex and military advisor Kelvok shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while Admiral Lisa Brooks dictated terms with Captain Roy Phillips standing behind her. Through the large windows, the massive bulk of the UES Titan dominated the view. Its 15-kilometer length stretched across the lunar horizon, its weapon systems clearly visible and obviously powerful. The sight had a profound effect on the alien negotiators. Ambassador Thyrex, Lisa began, her voice calm but firm. I believe we need to start these negotiations over. Humanity is interested in peaceful relations with the Zelrani Confederation, but only as equals. Thyrex nodded quickly, his earlier arrogance completely gone. Of course, Admiral. The Confederation has always believed in equality among species. Captain. Phillips stepped forward slightly. That's interesting, Ambassador. Because according to our records of the previous negotiations, you demanded that humanity limit its expansion to 3-star systems and surrender its right to maintain a significant military force. There were misunderstandings in the translation. Kelvok said quickly. Our actual offer was quite different. Dr. Kevin Taylor, who had been monitoring the alien communications, spoke up. Ambassador, we've been recording all of your transmissions. The translation systems were working perfectly. You quite clearly stated that humanity would accept Confederation membership under your terms or face military action. Roy smiled coldly. Which brings us to the question of reparations. Your fleet disabled 3 of our patrol ships and threatened the lives of their crews. In most civilizations, that would be considered an act of war. Thyrex looked panicked. Captain Phillips, please understand, we never intended to harm anyone. The weapon we used was designed to disable, not destroy. Without warning, Lisa added. You attacked our ships without provocation to demonstrate your power. It was not an attack, Kelvok protested. It was a demonstration of our capabilities, meant to show humanity the benefits of Confederation protection. Roy's expression hardened. By threatening to destroy our ships and kill our people? That's an interesting definition of protection. Ambassador. Helen Martinez, who had been silent during the exchange, finally spoke. Gentlemen, let's focus on the future rather than the past. What can the Confederation offer humanity as equals? Thyrex seemed relieved to change the subject. The Confederation can offer advanced technology, access to galactic trade routes, and mutual defense agreements. We have thousands of member species, each contributing their unique capabilities. And what would you expect from humanity in return? Lisa asked. Simply friendship and cooperation, Thyrex replied. We would welcome human participation in Confederation activities and enjoy the benefits of human innovation and determination. Roy raised an eyebrow. No restrictions on our expansion? No limitations on our military development? None whatsoever, Kelvok said quickly. The Confederation respects the sovereignty of all member species. Dr. Taylor consulted his notes. That's very different from what you proposed 3 days ago. Then you wanted us to limit our expansion to our home system, and perhaps 1 or 2 nearby systems. As I said, there were translation errors, Thyrex insisted. Lisa stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the Titan. Captain Phillips, what's your assessment of the Confederation's military capabilities? Roy joined her at the window. Based on our scans of their ships, Admiral, their technology is advanced, but not overwhelming. Their weapon systems are sophisticated, but they rely on energy manipulation rather than raw power. The Titan's defenses could withstand their attacks, and our weapons would be highly effective against their ships. Interesting, Lisa said. So if they were truly interested in conquest, they would need to bring a much larger fleet. Much larger. Roy confirmed. I estimate they would need at least 50 ships of their current class to pose a serious threat to Earth's defenses. Thyrex and Kelvok exchanged nervous glances. The humans were discussing their military capabilities as if the aliens weren't even in the room. Admiral Brooks, Thyrex said carefully, the Confederation has no interest in conquest. We seek only peaceful cooperation. Lisa turned back to face him. Then you'll have no problem with our counterproposal. Counterproposal? Kelvok asked. Yes. Humanity is willing to establish diplomatic relations with the Confederation, but we have our own terms. Helen Martinez opened a folder and began reading. First, all Confederation ships will respect human territorial sovereignty. This includes a 50 light-year exclusion zone around Earth and all human colonies. 50 light-years? Thyrex protested. That's an enormous area. Second, Helen continued, humanity will maintain the right to expand into any unoccupied systems we choose, without interference from the Confederation. But that could lead to conflicts with other species, Kelvok objected. Third, humanity will retain full control over our military development and deployment. We will not accept restrictions on our defensive capabilities. Roy smiled. Including the construction of additional Colossus-class dreadnoughts. The color drained from Thyrex's face. Additional ships like the Titan? The Titan is our first Colossus-class vessel, Lisa explained. Construction is already underway on 3 more, with plans for a full fleet of 12. Fourth, Helen continued, any technology sharing agreements will be mutual and voluntary. Neither side will demand access to the other's military or scientific secrets. And finally, Lisa concluded, the Confederation will provide full information about any hostile species or threats in our area of the galaxy. No more vague warnings about unspecified dangers. Thyrex looked overwhelmed. Admiral, these terms are quite different from standard Confederation membership agreements. Then perhaps it's time for the Confederation to develop new standards. Roy suggested, the galaxy is changing, Ambassador. Species are becoming more powerful and more independent. The old ways of doing things may no longer be appropriate. Kelvok leaned forward. What happens if the Confederation cannot accept these terms? Lisa's smile was cold. Then we'll maintain our current relationship. You'll return to your territory, and we'll continue our expansion. If your people want to trade with us, they can approach us as equals. If they want to threaten us, they can face the consequences. Roy gestured toward the Titan. And before you leave, you might want to inform your military leaders that humanity has capabilities they haven't seen yet. The Titan is powerful, But it's not our only surprise. Thyrix and Kelvok looked at each other, clearly communicating in some silent way. Finally, Thyrix spoke. "We will need to consult with our government." "Of course," Lisa replied. "Take all the time you need. We're not going anywhere." As the aliens left the conference room, Dr. Taylor turned to Admiral Brooks. "Do you think they'll accept our terms?" "They don't have a choice," Lisa replied. "They came here expecting to find the weak species they could dominate. Instead, they found a potential superpower. They'll accept our terms because the alternative is to make an enemy of humanity." Roy nodded. "And if they don't?" Lisa looked out at the Titan, its massive bulk a testament to human engineering and determination. "Then they'll learn what happens when you underestimate the species that survived ice ages, plagues, and 2 world wars. They'll learn that humanity doesn't surrender." As the alien ships prepared to leave the solar system, carrying news of humanity's true strength back to their government, the balance of power in the galaxy had permanently shifted. The age of human isolation was over, but it had been replaced, not by subservience, but by the emergence of a new galactic power.
The Galactic Council killed a human envoy, and the sky turned dark. Part 1. First Contact and Fatal Mistake. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with light that bounced off the crystalline walls. Ambassador Ethan Brooks stood tall, his blue uniform crisp and adorned with just 2 simple medals. He was not a man who needed to show off. At 53, his hair had gone silver at the temples, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. "Remember," he said quietly to his team, "we represent all of Earth today." Lisa Martinez nodded. As his executive officer, she had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and her hand rested near her pocket where she kept a small stone from her hometown in New Mexico. A good luck charm on this historic day. "The council is ready for us," said Dr. Alan Price, adjusting his glasses. The scientist looked out of place in his formal wear, more comfortable among his research than in diplomatic settings. Still, no one knew alien biology better than him. The 3 humans walked forward as the massive doors slid open. This was humanity's formal introduction to the 27 species that made up the Galactic Council, after 2 years of preliminary communications. The council chamber was massive, with delegates seated in rising tiers around a central speaking platform. Some aliens looked almost human. Others were so different that Brooks had to remind himself not to stare. One delegate appeared to be a collection of floating lights, while another resembled a giant insect with compound eyes that reflected the humans in hundreds of tiny images. "The representatives of Earth may approach," announced the council speaker, a tall blue-skinned being named Vizsla. Her voice was translated through the small devices in the human's ears. Brooks stepped onto the platform, feeling the weight of 7 billion humans on his shoulders. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice steady, "I bring greetings from Earth. We come seeking friendship and knowledge, offering the same in return." Most of the council members watched with interest. But in the Valaxian, Section Councilor Jetka narrowed his 4 eyes. The Valaxians had dominated council politics for centuries. Humans were an unknown factor that could upset the careful balance of power Jetka had built. "Another primitive species seeking protection," Jetka whispered to his aide. "Yet their technological advancement from their first spaceflight to now is troubling." Brooks continued his speech, unaware of the calculating stare. He spoke of Earth's history, its diversity, its hopes for the future among the stars. When he finished, polite applause rippled through the chamber. The formal introduction went on for hours. Questions were asked and answered. Treaties were presented for review. Through it all, Brooks remained diplomatic and calm, even when some questions seemed designed to provoke. "And what of your military capabilities?" asked a reptilian delegate. "From the 3rd tier. Earth maintains defensive forces," Brooks answered carefully. "But we come in peace, seeking cooperation rather than conflict." Lisa noticed how some council members exchanged glances at this answer. She made mental notes of which species seemed friendly and which seemed suspicious. The Meraxians smiled with their eye stalks, a sign of genuine pleasure in their culture. The Valaxians remained stone-faced. As the session neared its end, Brooks prepared for the traditional exchange of gifts. He had been briefed extensively on council customs. From a polished wooden box, he removed a small crystal globe of earth. "A symbol of our world," he said, "crafted by our finest artisans. Inside is a secure data crystal containing our music, art, and literature." He stepped forward to present it to the council speaker. As he did, his sleeve pulled back slightly, revealing his wristwatch. A simple timepiece, but with a small red button on its side, an emergency beacon connected to his neural implant. Jetkaz. Aide leaned forward suddenly. "Counselor, that device on his wrist, it matches descriptions of human weapon triggers." This was false, but Jetka had already decided. Humans were advancing too quickly. Their planet had abundant resources. Their system was strategically located. Better to end this potential threat now. He pressed a small control on his council seat. Brooks felt a sharp pain in his chest as he handed the gift to the speaker. He stumbled slightly but recovered with a diplomat's grace. "Are you well, Ambassador?" asked the speaker, genuinely concerned. "Quite well," Brooks said, though he felt a strange coldness spreading through his chest. Just the emotion of the moment. But as he returned to his place beside Lisa and Dr. Price, the pain intensified. Brooks knew something was very wrong. His military training kicked in. This was no natural pain. "Lisa," he whispered, "I think I've been—" He collapsed before he could finish. Dr. Price knelt beside him immediately, medical training taking over. "Ambassador Ethan!" Price checked his pulse, finding it weak and irregular. The council erupted in confusion. Medical staff rushed forward. Lisa watched in horror as Brooks's face turned ashen. "What's happening?" she demanded, looking from Price to the alien medical team now surrounding Brooks. "His heart is failing," said a Meraxian doctor, scanning Brooks with a handheld device. "No clear cause." In the confusion, no one noticed Jetka's satisfied expression. Brooks felt his consciousness fading. With his last strength, he pressed the emergency button on his watch. His neural implant activated, sending a one-word message directly to Earth Defense Command over a quantum channel no alien technology could detect. The message was simple: betrayal. His eyes found Lisa's for one last moment, trying to communicate what he had realized. Then Ambassador Ethan Brooks, the first human envoy to the Galactic Council, died on the cold floor of the alien chamber. The council speaker ordered the chamber cleared. Amidst the chaos, Lisa fought to stay by Brooks' body. "This was no natural death," she hissed to Price as they were escorted out. "How can you be sure?" he whispered back. "Did you see his eyes at the end?" Ethan knew. Back on Earth in the secure bunker of Defense Command, a terminal blinked with the received message. General Claire Winters read the single word and turned to her staff with grim determination. "Activate the Dark Sky Protocol," she ordered. "Now." Across Earth military bases went on high alert. In orbit, defense platforms silently powered up. Deep in underground hangars, ships that officially didn't exist prepared for launch. The humans had come in peace, but they had always prepared for war, and the Galactic Council had just made a terrible mistake. The Galactic Council killed a human envoy, and the sky turned dark. Part 2. The Dark Sky. Protocol 7 days had passed since Ambassador Brooks died on the council floor. On Earth, the official story was that he suffered a sudden heart attack. The Galactic Council had sent condolences, flowers, and offers to help with the transition to a new ambassador. Lisa Martinez knew better. She stood at the window of her temporary quarters on the massive council station, watching alien ships come and go. Her reflection showed dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep. Since Brooks's death, she had barely rested. "They're watching us," she said to Dr. Alan Price, who sat at a small desk reviewing medical reports. "Every move we make." Price, nodded without looking up. The autopsy they provided is too clean. No toxins, no injuries, nothing suspicious. Because they erased the evidence, Lisa said. She kept her voice low. Their quarters were certainly bugged. Ethan pressed his emergency button before he died. He knew this wasn't natural. Price finally looked up. What do we do? Lisa turned away from the window. We investigate quietly. You keep asking for medical information, I'll work my diplomatic channels, and we tell Earth everything we find. What the Council didn't know was that Lisa had already sent a detailed message to Earth. Using a hidden transmitter in her personal items, she had bypassed the station's communication systems entirely. On Earth, General Claire Winters stood in the underground command center known as the bunker. Around her, dozens of officers monitored screens filled with data. A giant world map dominated one wall, glowing with thousands of small lights. All military units are now at dark sky readiness, reported Colonel Ben Kelly. Navy, Air Force, Space Force, all integrated under unified command. And our special assets? Asked Winters. The Ghost Fleet is activated. All 317 ships are powered up and awaiting deployment orders. Winters nodded. The Ghost Fleet was humanity's secret. Ships built in hidden facilities using technology reversed engineered from studying alien signals decades before first contact. Ships that officially didn't exist. What about civilian cooperation? She asked another officer. All major governments have acknowledged the protocol. Some resistance from smaller nations, but they're falling in line. Winters looked at the main screen where Admiral Sophia Grant's face appeared. Grant was aboard the command ship Liberty, hidden in the asteroid belt. Admiral, you now have operational control of all Earth defense forces, Winters said formally. May God help us all. Grant's face was solemn. The Liberty acknowledges command. We're initiating Phase 2 of Dark Sky. Across the solar system, human activity changed dramatically. Commercial ships returned to Earth. Scientific outposts went silent. Communication with alien vessels ceased completely. Then Earth itself seemed to vanish from galactic monitoring. Thousands of stealth satellites activated, creating a field that blocked most scans from penetrating Earth's orbital space. To alien observers, it appeared as if a dark curtain had fallen around the planet. On the Council station, an aide rushed into Jetka's private chambers. Counselor, we've lost contact with all human outposts. Jetka looked up from his meal. Explain. Earth has gone dark. Their ships have disappeared from trade routes. Their communication relays are silent. And our scanning systems can no longer penetrate their system defenses. Jetka stood slowly. What of our delegates on Earth? No communication from them, either. The humans have placed the entire diplomatic quarter under what they call protective custody. For the first time, Jetka felt a flicker of concern. This was not the reaction he had expected from a primitive species. The humans were supposed to accept their ambassador's death, appoint a new one, and continue the integration process. A process Jetka had carefully designed to keep Earth dependent on Valaxian technology. Call an emergency council meeting, he ordered. The council chamber was tense as representatives from 27 species argued about the human situation. They've locked up our people, shouted the Dresian ambassador, his scales flaring with anger. Not locked up, placed under protection, corrected a Meraxian delegate. My sources say the human authorities are treating them well, but restricting their movements and communications. This is clearly leading to war, insisted another. The speaker called for order. We have a communication request from Earth. Their defense command wishes to address the council. The large central screen activated. General Winters appeared, her uniform crisp, her expression severe. Greetings, Galactic Council, she said. I am General Claire Winters of Earth Defense Command. I speak for Earth during this time of transition. General, the speaker said carefully, we are concerned about the sudden change in Earth's posture. Your diplomatic staff here informs us they have received no instructions. Your ships have vanished from agreed routes. You have restricted our representatives on Earth. These actions appear hostile. Earth is not hostile, Winters replied. Earth is cautious. The unexpected death of Ambassador Brooks has raised security concerns. Until a full investigation is completed, we have enacted protective measures. What investigation? Zetka demanded. Your own medical staff confirmed it was a natural death. Winter's eyes fixed on the Valaxian. Did they? How interesting. Our findings suggest otherwise. Ambassador Brooks activated an emergency protocol in his final moments. We take the death of our representatives very seriously. Murmurs spread through the council. Most hadn't known about any emergency signal. What are your intentions, General? Asked the speaker. Earth will remain in a defensive posture while we investigate. All non-human vessels are instructed to maintain a minimum distance of 1 light hour from Earth. Any approach will be considered hostile. The screen went dark before anyone could respond. In the silence that followed, a Dresian counselor leaned toward Zetka. What have you done? He hissed. Those humans were supposed to be simple. On the council station, Lisa Martinez watched the broadcast with satisfaction. She caught Dr. Price's eye across the room and gave a small nod. Phase 1 of their plan was complete. Earth had taken a defensive stance, buying them time. Now came the dangerous part, finding proof of who killed Brooks. I'm going to meet a contact, she told Price quietly. Someone who might help us access restricted areas. Be careful, Price warned. If they killed Brooks, they won't hesitate to kill you too. Lisa checked her hidden stunner disguised as a pen. I'm counting on it. Sometimes you need to be the bait to catch the predator. As she left their quarters, Lisa didn't notice the small drone that detached from the ceiling and followed her. Nor did she see Zetka's aide watching from the shadows, his hand resting on a weapon. The hunt had begun. The Galactic Council killed a human envoy, and the sky turned dark. Part 3. Revelation and Escalation. 2 weeks of silence had made the Galactic Council nervous. Many species were not used to waiting. They were not used to mystery, and Earth had become the biggest mystery in the galaxy. Dr. Alan Price sat in the station's food court, pretending to read data on his tablet. In reality, he was watching a young Meraxian who worked as a junior clerk for the council. The alien had 4 thin arms and large kind eyes on stalks. His name was Neelix. May I join you? Neelix asked, his translator making his voice sound almost musical. Price nodded and smiled. Please do. This was their 3rd meeting. Price had carefully arranged these accidental encounters, building trust with the friendly Meraxian. The station feels tense, Neelix said quietly. Many delegates are angry about Earth's silence. We're not silent, Price corrected. We asked for an investigation into Ambassador Brooks's death. The council refused. Neelix's eye stalks drooped slightly. I know. I work in records. The official report was rushed. Price tried not to show his excitement. This was exactly the opening he had been waiting for. Rushed how? He asked casually. Neelix looked around nervously. The medical data was entered before the full examination was complete, and there are security recordings that were sealed by special order. Whose order? Counselor Zetka. He said it was to protect human dignity. Price nodded thoughtfully. Neelix, if someone had evidence of what really happened to Brooks, how would they share it safely? The Meraxian's eyes blinked rapidly. That would be very dangerous, but... He leaned closer. There is an old data port in Section 12B that isn't monitored. It connects to the original station systems before the upgrades. Price smiled. Thank you for the interesting history lesson about the station. Meanwhile, billions of miles away, Admiral Sophia Grant stood on the bridge of the Liberty. The massive ship remained hidden in the asteroid belt, its advanced stealth systems making it invisible to council scanners. Status report, Grant ordered, her voice calm but commanding. Her second-in-command, Captain Jack Owens, responded immediately. All fleet units are in position. The wall is fully deployed. The wall was humanity's greatest defensive achievement. Thousands of automated platforms now surrounded Earth's solar system, each armed with weapons and sensors far beyond what the Council believed humans possessed. And the Valaxian battle group? Grant asked. Still approaching, Admiral. Current. Speed suggests they'll reach the outer marker in 6 hours. Grant nodded. Earth's intelligence sources had reported the Valaxian ships days ago. 20 warships moving toward Earth claiming to be on a peacekeeping mission to resolve the diplomatic situation. They expect us to be primitive, Grant said quietly. They expect us to be afraid. Ma'am. Grant turned to face her crew. For 100 years, we've been listening to their transmissions, studying their technology, preparing. They think first contact was just 20 years ago, but we've known about the Council for generations. The bridge crew nodded. Earth's greatest secret was not its weapons or ships. It was time. Time spent, learning, building, and planning while the galaxy remained unaware. Let them come, Grant said. Maintain stealth protocols. No one fires until my command. Back on the Council station, Lisa Martinez moved quietly through the less-traveled corridors. She had spent days mapping security patrols and camera locations. Now she approached Section 12B, where Dr. Price had told her about the old data port. She didn't notice the small tracking device that had been planted on her jacket, nor did she see Jetka's security chief following at a distance. Lisa found the data port and quickly connected her specialized device. It began downloading station records immediately. After a few tense minutes, the download completed. She had everything: security footage, medical scans, internal communications. As she turned to leave, she found herself facing 3 Valaxian security officers. Human Martinez, one said coldly. You are in a restricted area. Lisa smiled. I got lost, still learning my way around this big station. You have access to data port. That is a security violation. Is it? I was just checking my messages. Lisa knew her excuses wouldn't work, but she needed to buy time. Her download device was also a transmitter. It had already sent the data to Dr. Price's tablet. You will come with us, the Valaxian stated, reaching for her arm. Lisa moved quickly, her military training taking over. She struck the Valaxian's arm away and sprinted down the corridor. Alarms began to sound throughout the station. In the council chamber, an emergency session was interrupted by the alarms. Jetka received a message on his private channel and smiled. Honored Speaker, he announced. We have caught a human spy accessing restricted systems. This proves Earth's hostile intentions. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Dr. Price, sitting in the observer section, slipped out quietly. He had received Lisa's transmission and needed to find a secure place to review it. Near Earth's orbit, the Valaxian battle group approached the invisible line that Earth had drawn. No sign of human defenses, reported the Valaxian commander to his crew. Their primitive sensors haven't even detected us yet. His second-in-command looked nervous. Sir, the humans warned all ships to stay 1 light hour from their planet. We are about to cross that boundary. The commander laughed. And what will they do? Their technology is centuries behind ours. This show of force will bring them back to the negotiating table where they belong. As the Valaxian ships crossed the boundary, sensors across the wall activated. On the Liberty, Admiral Grant received the alert. They've crossed the line, Captain Owens reported. Grant's face hardened. Send the warning. A single message was broadcast on all frequencies. Valaxian vessels, you have entered restricted space. Withdraw immediately. On his flagship, the Valaxian commander was shocked. How did they detect us? Scan for human vessels. None detected. Sir, the message came from everywhere. The commander recovered quickly. Ignore it. Continue approach. They're bluffing. Admiral Grant watched the Valaxian ships maintain their course. They never learn, she sighed. Deploy Phase 1 countermeasures. Across the void of space, 1,000 platforms suddenly revealed themselves. Weapons locked onto the Valaxian ships. What is that? The Valaxian commander gasped as his sensors showed the massive defensive network. Before he could react, precise, energy beams struck half his fleet. Not to destroy, but to disable. Engines, weapons, and communication systems went dark on 10 Valaxian warships. In the stunned silence that followed, Admiral Grant broadcast again. "This was a warning shot. We know what you did to Ambassador Brooks. The next move is yours." On the council station, Dr. Price finally reviewed Lisa's data. The evidence was clear. The security footage showed a small device activated by Zetka just before Brooks collapsed. The medical scans revealed a targeted energy pulse that stopped Brooks's heart. "We've got them," Price whispered. Now he just needed to find Lisa and get this evidence to Earth. But the station was locked down, and somewhere, Lisa was running for her life. The Galactic Council killed a human envoy, and the sky turned dark. Part 4. The Human Response. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. News of the disabled Valaxian warships had spread quickly. On the main display, images showed the once mighty vessels drifting helplessly in space. "This is an act of war," shouted the Valaxian representative who had taken Zetka's place while the counselor managed the human spy situation. "You crossed their declared boundary after explicit warnings," the Maraxian delegate countered. "They showed remarkable restraint by only disabling your ships rather than destroying them." The council had begun to split into factions. 7 species now openly questioned the official story about Ambassador Brooks's death. 12 remained firmly allied with the Valaxians. The others watched carefully, waiting to see which side would prevail. Dr. Alan Price slipped into the chamber, taking a seat near the back. He had spent hours hiding from security patrols. His tablet contained all the evidence Lisa had sent, but he needed a way to present it to the full council. And he needed to find Lisa. His opportunity came when the speaker called for order. "We need facts, not accusations," the speaker announced. "I call for a formal inquiry into both the human defensive actions and the alleged espionage by their diplomatic staff." Price stood up. "Speaker, I request permission to address the council." All eyes turned to him. The Valaxian representative immediately objected. "This human has no standing. His colleague Martinez is a proven spy." "Let him speak," called several delegates at once. The speaker nodded. "Approach Dr. Price." Price walked to the central platform, feeling the weight of the moment. He connected his tablet to the council's display system. "Honored delegates," he began. "Executive Officer Martinez is not a spy. She was gathering evidence about a murder, the murder of Ambassador Brooks." Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. "These are the security recordings from the day Ambassador Brooks died," Price continued. "Watch Counselor Zetka carefully." The display showed Brooks presenting the gift. Then it showed Zetka pressing a control on his council seat. Moments later, Brooks collapsed. "And these are the medical scans," Price said, displaying the data. "The energy signature matches a known Valaxian assassination device, a device that stops the heart but leaves no trace after 1 hour." The chamber erupted. Even Valaxian allies looked disturbed by the evidence. "Where is Counselor Zetka now?" demanded the speaker. "Handling the human spy," the Valaxian representative replied. Weakly. "Find them both," ordered the speaker. "Immediately." In a rarely used detention area of the station, Lisa Martinez sat in a small cell. Her hands were bound, and a bruise was forming on her cheek. Across from her, Zetka paced angrily. "You have caused quite a problem, human," he said. "You were supposed to accept your ambassador's death and follow our guidance. Instead, your planet reveals weapons beyond your development level and acts with defiance." Lisa smiled despite her situation. "You made a fundamental error. You thought our friendliness was weakness. Your species is barely out of its stone age compared to the Valaxians." Zetka sneered. "We let you think that," Lisa replied. "We've been listening to your transmissions for over 100 years, studying, learning, preparing." Zetka stopped pacing. "Impossible. We detected your signals in the late 2050s. By the time you discovered us in 2137, we had already reversed engineered much of your technology. We just kept it hidden, waiting to see if you would be friends or enemies." Jetka stared at her with new understanding and something else. Fear. And now you've shown us exactly what you are, Lisa finished. Before Jetka could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. The door to the detention area slid open, revealing Council security forces led by Dr. Price and Neelix. Counselor, Jetka, announced the head of security. You are detained pending investigation for the murder of Ambassador Brooks. As Jetka was led away, Price quickly freed Lisa. The evidence worked? She asked, rubbing her wrists. Perfectly. The Council is in shock. Several species are already calling for Zetka's immediate trial. Neelix approached them nervously. Dr. Price, Executive Officer Martinez, the Speaker requests your presence in Council session. Back on Earth, Admiral Grant stood before the World Security Council. Representatives from Earth's nations filled the chamber. The Valaxian battle. Group remains disabled, she reported. We have also detected 5 more alien fleets approaching from different directions. Some appear to be friendly, others hostile. General Winters nodded. The galaxy is taking sides. What are your orders? Grant asked. The President has authorized full revelation, Winters replied. It's time to show them everything. Grant's eyes widened. Everything? Everything. Deploy the Ghost Fleet. Throughout the solar system, hidden bases activated. From beneath the scifi, seas, from inside hollow asteroids, from camouflaged lunar craters. Ships emerged. Thousands of them, each built with technology that matched or exceeded anything the Council races possessed. Earth had been preparing for this moment for generations. In the Council chamber, Lisa and Price stood before the assembled delegates. The evidence of Brooks' murder had been reviewed by all. Now the Speaker addressed them formally. In light of these revelations, the Council extends its deepest apologies to Earth for this crime against your representative. Counselor Jetka and his accomplices will face justice according to our highest laws. Lisa stepped forward. Speaker, Earth appreciates this acknowledgement. However, this was not the act of one individual. Our intelligence indicates several Council species were aware of, or involved in, the conspiracy. Nervous glances passed between certain delegates. These are serious accusations, the Speaker said carefully. We have proof, Lisa replied. She activated a small device and a holographic display appeared. For decades we've been collecting and decrypting your communications, she explained. We have records of planning meetings between Zetka and representatives from 6 other Council species to discuss the human problem and how to keep Earth dependent on Council technology. The named species delegates shifted uncomfortably. Earth demands justice not just for Brooks, but for the attempted subjugation of our entire planet, Lisa continued. We demand trials for all involved in the conspiracy. And if we refuse? Asked a bold delegate from one of the implicated species. The chamber's main display activated, showing a live feed from Earth space. The Ghost Fleet was revealed in all its glory, thousands of ships in perfect formation. We would prefer peaceful resolution, Lisa said quietly. But make no mistake, we can enforce our demands. Dr. Price added. Earth extended a hand in friendship. That hand was slapped away. Now you see what we've been hiding in our other hand. The Speaker was silent for a long moment, looking at the vast human fleet. The evidence will be reviewed, she finally said. If verified, those responsible will face justice. Lisa nodded. Earth agrees to these terms. And we offer one more piece of information that may interest the Council. What is that? Asked the Speaker. Records show that before the Council formed, several ancient spacefaring civilizations deliberately avoided Earth's sector. Perhaps you should ask yourselves why. Throughout the chamber, delegates leaned toward each other, whispering urgently. The humans had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever, and they were just getting started. The Galactic Council killed a human envoy, and the sky turned dark. Part 5. A new galactic order 1 year had passed since the truth about Ambassador Brooks' death was revealed. The massive window in the newly rebuilt council chamber showed the eye gear, stars shining brightly again. Earth had lifted its dark sky protocol 6 months ago, allowing normal travel and communication to resume. Lisa Martinez, now promoted to ambassador, stood at the window. Her new uniform bore the simple insignia of Earth's diplomatic corps, plus one addition, a small pin shaped like a dark sky with stars in memory of Brooks. "Ready, Ambassador?" asked Dr. Alan Price, who now served as her chief advisor. Lisa nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." Today marked the signing of the Brooks Accords, the new treaty that would reshape relations between Earth and the galaxy. It had taken months of negotiations, trials, and occasionally shows of force. The council chamber filled with representatives from all 27 member species, plus observers from 12 non-council worlds who were reconsidering their neutrality. Now that the power balance had shifted, the speaker called the session to order. "Today we complete a journey that began in tragedy but ends in hope. The signing of the Brooks Accords represents a new chapter for our galactic community." Lisa took her place at the signing table. Across from her sat representatives from the other major powers, including a new Valaxian delegate. Zetka and 6 other conspirators from different species had been found guilty and sentenced to isolation on a monitored world far from any trade routes. "Before we sign," Lisa said, "I wish to address the council." The speaker nodded permission. 1 year ago, humanity was forced to reveal its true capabilities after the murder of Ambassador Brooks. Many of you feared us then. Some still do. But fear was never our goal. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various delegates. For generations, humanity prepared for this moment. First contact with a galactic community. We hoped for friendship, but prepared for hostility. History taught us that lesson. Several delegates nodded in understanding. "The Brooks Accords establish new principles," Lisa continued. "Transparency, respect for sovereignty, true cultural exchange rather than technological dependence, and most importantly, consequences for those who break these principles." She picked up the pen to sign. It was made from wood from Brooks' home state of Minnesota, a deliberate choice to honor his memory. Earth signs these accords in good faith. We extend the hand of friendship once again. Let us hope it is accepted with equal sincerity this time. Lisa signed with a flourish. One by one, the other representatives added their signatures or equivalent marks. When the last one finished, the chamber erupted in applause. Later that day, Admiral Sophia Grant stood on the observation deck of Earth's new embassy on the council station. The embassy was designed to impress and to defend itself if necessary. Hidden defenses and escape routes were built into every section. "Admiral, the President is on secure channel," reported an aide. Grant activated the private communication system. "Madam President, congratulations on the successful signing," said President Olivia Clark. "How does the situation feel on the ground?" "Cautiously optimistic," Grant replied. "Most species seem genuinely relieved to have the conflict resolved. The Valaxians are humbled but included in the new arrangements." "And the defense grid?" "The wall remains at 70% readiness with half the Ghost Fleet on patrol and half returned to hidden docks, visible but not threatening." The President nodded. "Perfect. And our new cultural initiatives?" Dr. Price's interspecies cultural exchange program has already welcomed students from 15 worlds. It's proving quite successful at building genuine understanding. "Excellent. Keep me updated, Admiral." In another part of the station, Dr. Price led a tour through the new cultural center. Display cases showed art, music, literature, and scientific achievements from Earth and other worlds. "The key to peace is understanding," Price explained to the group of alien visitors. "For too long, the Council approached less advanced species with the goal of control rather than cooperation." Neelix, now officially Earth's first alien friend, nodded enthusiastically. His eye stalks bobbed with excitement. "The human approach is much better," he said. "Share knowledge freely, respect differences, but maintain strong boundaries." Price smiled at his friend. After the events of the past year, Neelix had been appointed as the first Maraxian ambassador to Earth. He would leave for his new posting next week. Strong boundaries are important, Price agreed. Trust must be earned. In Earth orbit, a small ceremony took place aboard the Liberty. Admiral Grant stood before a gathered crowd of military personnel and civilian officials. Behind her, a simple monument had been unveiled, a dark stone with Brooks's name and the words, "His sacrifice showed us their true face." "Today we remember Ambassador Ethan Brooks," Grant said solemnly. "1 year ago, his murder revealed the danger our world faced. His death forced us to show our strength sooner than planned." The gathered humans bowed their heads in respect. "Some ask if we could have avoided conflict by revealing our true capabilities from the beginning," Grant continued. "Perhaps. But history taught us caution. The Valaxians and their allies sought to control what they believed was a primitive species. They learned a hard lesson." Lisa Martinez, attending the ceremony before returning to the council station, stepped forward to place a small earth crystal on the monument. "Ethan believed in peace," she said, "but he also believed in strength. He would be proud to see Earth take its rightful place among the stars, not as a junior partner to be controlled, but as an equal power to be respected." As the ceremony ended, Lisa returned to her ship. Through the viewport, she watched Earth grow smaller as they headed back to the council station. The blue-green planet looked peaceful from space, its true power hidden beneath oceans and mountains and the ordinary lives of its people. Like humanity itself, Earth kept its greatest strengths hidden until needed. The stars shone bright again, in the sky above Earth. The dark days had passed, but the galaxy would never forget when humanity made the sky go dark and revealed what had been hiding in the shadows all along. Throughout countless worlds, a new saying began to spread among spacefaring species: offer friendship to the humans, but never ever threaten them. They prepare for war even in times of peace, and they do not forget betrayal. As her ship approached the council station, Lisa thought about Brooks, about the past year, about all that had changed. The galaxy was different now. Earth was revealed. Old powers had fallen, new alliances had formed, and humanity had learned an important lesson too. The universe was full of both friends and enemies. The trick was knowing which was which before it was too late. "Ambassador," called the ship's captain, "we're receiving a welcome message from 17 different species." Lisa smiled. "Tell them we're happy to be back. Peace through strength." That was the human way, and now it was becoming the galactic way too.